This is the Behind The Scenes Bulletin of the Seraphina Speaks for Children Who Think show. I'm your host, Seraphina Malina-Derben. Let's go right ahead to the bulletin, shall we? Hey, it's Seraphina, back with a Behind The Scenes Bulletin. If you listened to the main episode on lying, you'll have heard me talk about one of my most recent epic lies. It affected my family, was costly to recover from, and gives my triplet brothers something to tease me about. When I heard this story the other day, I thought you might like to hear it too. A vicar told his congregation, "Next week I'm going to preach about the sin of lying. To help you understand my sermon, I want you all to read Mark 17. The following Sunday, as he was about to deliver his sermon, the vicar asked for a show of hands. He wanted to know how many had read Mark 17. Every hand went up. The vicar smiled and said, "Mark has only 16 chapters. I will now proceed with my sermon on the sin of lying." Ouch, that must have been an embarrassing public example of people lying. A whole church congregation. In thinking about lies and lying, I thought a lot about what I believe the biggest lie could be. I have the answer that feels right for me. What one person thinks is the biggest lie isn't necessarily going to be what another person also thinks is the biggest. It's possible that one lie affects us all, so I'm going to go all out and put this forward as the biggest lie of all. The biggest lie is the illusion of perfection. Everywhere we look, off and online, we're bombarded with images of flawless lives, success, and unattainable goals. The lie tells us that perfection is possible, as well as expected. Chasing perfection involves comparing ourselves with airbrushed images and crafted stories that feed insecurity. In this perfect story, nobody has any fears, and mistakes aren't made. No MacBooks are dropped and thrown away in secret. Impossible standards surround us. No wonder so many teens and tweens feel disappointed with our lives and ourselves. I'm calling for us all to get comfy with being imperfect. We measure up exactly as we are when we don't get taken in by these messages about being a certain type of perfection. As far as I can see, this is the biggest lie of all. What do you think, listeners? Why don't you write and tell me your thoughts? I can be reached at seraphina@seraphinaspeaks.com. Before I go, if you'd like to be featured on this podcast, come join my correspondent team. All you have to do is post a review for the show on your fave podcast app. Then take a screenshot and send it to me at Seraphina@seraphinaspeaks.com. Then I'll be in touch with you about being on the show. By the way, if you're looking for an idea of what to say in your review, if you're like me, you go blank, even though you want to do this. Here's a question for you. Let me know what country you're listening from and what you'd like me to talk about in a future episode. Next week's episode is called On Pockets. These small yet significant items are nothing short of revolutionary. I hope you'll join me to find out how. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember to tell your friends, family, and teachers to listen into if you think they'll enjoy the show. Take care, everyone. Lots of love. I hope you enjoyed this bulletin, everybody. If you like what you hear, click the subscribe button. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for all your support.